Hello and happy new year, and welcome to this episode, this first episode in the new year 2021 of NOV Live. I'm Michael Gaines, and glad you are joining us as we kick off a new year with some exciting conversations, and certainly looking forward to having you join us again each week here at 11 a.m. Central Time for some great conversations from technical experts across the globe. So we're looking forward to having you join us today as we have a conversation about a place that helps a lot of the technologies that we talk about here on the show come to fruition and get tested and validated. So we have a guest today who's helping lead the charge in that space, and will be one that you won't want to miss. So before we get to our guest today, I want to go ahead and bring in Shelby Dumaine to lead us off here with, again, reminding us how we can all be a part, but also how you at home or at work can join in. So Shelby, good to see you. Happy New Year.
Good to see you, Michael. Happy New Year to you as well. I'm so excited. I think we're really kicking off the new year with some excellent shows. Today with our guests, and also later today for Inside Out. We have a really exciting episode planned. So I'm excited what we're bringing to the audience. And if anybody has any questions for our guest today about like you mentioned, the facility we'll be talking about, you can comment them below, and we're going to get to as many questions as we can near the end of the show. And if you have any questions, maybe about topics you'd like to see on the show, about this today's episode, about past episodes, anything you'd like to message us, you can do so a couple different ways. So the first is you can actually email us. That email is socialmedia@nov.com. It's there on the screen now. And then if you want to give us a call, you can also reach out to us that way and leave a voicemail. I always say this, but it's worth saying again. You can stay anonymous, or you can let us know maybe where you work or where you live, your name, and we can feature you on a future episode. But that number is also on screen. It's country code +1 346 223 4799. So I look forward to hearing from our audience. But again, if you want to get your comments asked about today's episode live on the show, just comment them below. And like I said, we're going to get to as many as we can. But now it's time for my favorite of the show. And if I'm talking fast, I feel like I'm noticing that. It's only because I'm so excited. My favorite part of the show is Rig Geek Post of the Week.
Rig Geek's Post of the Week.
All right. As always, I think the Rig Geek question is a little bit of a hint towards what we're going to be talking about fully in the show. But today's question is, what was the first piece of equipment tested at the R&D Technology Center? And that's the NOV R&D Technology Center. What was the first piece of equipment tested there? And I will say, I may have talked to our guest ahead of time. And if you're not sure right now, I hear if you listen through the episode, you might get some clues about this answer. So if you think you know it at any point, go ahead and comment it. And then at the end of the show, we're going to reveal that answer. So one more time, it is, what was the first piece of equipment tested at the NOV R&D Technology Center? So I look forward to seeing y'all again at the end of the show, both to get your questions asked, but also to reveal that Rig Geek answer.
All right. Thanks, Shelby. Well, as Shelby alluded to, our conversation today focuses around NOV's R&D Technology Center and what happens there, maybe some insight into the specifics of the facility, but also what that allows NOV to do for our customers and for those here. So have the pleasure of bringing on to the show for the first time my good friend and colleague, Mr. Chris Chapman, the director of the R&D Technology Center in Navasota. So Chris, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Michael. Good to see you. You as well, Shelby. How you doing?
Great. Happy New Year to you. Thanks for joining us here. We are excited to jump in and talk tech with you today. So I know that for folks that have been longtime viewers of NOV Live, they may have heard us talk about the the facility there that you have the opportunity to help manage. But for those that might be newer to the show, they may not have heard us talk about it recently. So maybe before we get too far into it, can we maybe kind of have table stakes, some basics? So let's talk about the R&D Technology Center, and what does it do, and how does it serve NOV? What is its main purpose for us?
That's a good place to start. So first of all, thanks everyone for whoever's joining across the globe today. Appreciate you logging on. But so the R&D Technology Center, I'll probably refer to it as RDTC, as we call it a lot here. So what we do is we are a full research and development facility that provides a service to all three segments within NOV. So what we're able to do here is we have a full drilling rig, we have a completions area, and we're able to test different equipment from all three of the segments. So all three of the segments at NOV, if you're not familiar, so we have wellbore technologies, which is a lot of our equipment that goes downhole, such as drilling motors, pipe, jars, bits, any of that, MWDs, all of that. So then we've got rig technologies, which you see, that's our rig that you're seeing on the shot right there, Prime 1. The first one made ever for the Prime series. And so with that, we're able to test a lot of our drilling equipment, software, hardware, anything that's really above surface on our rigs there. And then additionally, we have completions and production solutions. So that's you'll hear me refer to that as CAPS, and that's on our west pad, which you're actually seeing. This is an older video, but it's actually on the bottom of our picture there, which we'll be able to show you a little bit more later, I hope. And so with that, so you see the land up there, we're actually located in Navasota. So we've got about 390 acres. We're very fortunate there that we're actually able to do all of our testing on. So the drilling rig you're seeing is live. We're able to drill wells down to whichever depth we're needing, directional capabilities. The equipment we have on the rig, so it's a 1,500 horsepower ideal prime rig, Prime 1. It has two mud pumps that we utilize for drilling, the FD 1600s. It's got a TDS 11SH top drive. It's got a ST100 iron roughneck, which I know we recently actually had a show about that, I think just a few months ago. And then DrawWorks DSGD 375. And so we have full capabilities a normal drilling rig would have. We predominantly use water-based mud for all of our wells. And it's great. So we're able to have a lot of these test teams that maybe we've gone through different iterations of testing, and now they're ready to test in a live environment. So the other thing that I did briefly mention was the West Pad, where we do our completions and production solutions testing. So things such as artificial lift system, multi-phase pumps, cellar tech. We're able to showcase some of those, test it, make sure that they're fit for customers. So with R&D technology, it's always difficult because failure is never a fun word, right? We learned that growing up. You don't like hearing that, you don't like to fail, but it's inevitable with innovation, with R&D technology. You will fail, and you should, because if you don't, you're not pushing technology far enough, and you're not going to learn as much. But what's really crucial there, you can't just fail and give up. You can't just fail and say, well, we tried well, but you've really got to pivot. You've got to make changes. So you need to fail fast, get that done, and then you need to pivot, regroup, rebuild, make it better, and get beyond that failure. And so that's something we sort of encourage here. Failure on our rig is an option. We want to do it here. We don't want to do it with a customer, right? So when our customers get our tools, our products, equipment, hardware, software, any of our digital solutions, we want them to have to know that we have the capabilities to test this in a live drilling environment prior to just deploying on their rig or completions equipment. So.
Right, and to your last comment there, that making the pivot, taking some of your words from having to test on a customer's live well to now being able to do the testing in this facility was certainly a great milestone from an innovation standpoint. So to that, maybe can you sort of take us in your wayback machine of your mind there, and kind of give us a little background and history on the facility and how long it's been around, and what are some of the capabilities, like you mentioned, that have been able to materialize over the years.
Absolutely. So fortunately, we don't have to go too far back in the time machine. So, and I wasn't here when all of this originally sprung to life. I've been here about a year and a half, a little more than that. And it's a great facility, and it's kind of a good story of how we came to be. So the idea actually sprung back in about 2011. And so it was, hey, we need a better way to test these products before they get to our customers. We get our customers' feedback, and we want to develop things individually in the business units, and then we need to test in a real life setting. So that came to life in 2011. It wasn't until 2013 we landed on this plot of land I mentioned, 390 acres in Navasota. So we chose Navasota, obviously due to proximity to Houston. It's a big deal. Our hub is Houston. Not all engineering by any means is all in Houston, but certainly there's a good hub of it. And so we're able to get a lot of support up here. We need engineers, technicians, specialists, all of that to help run this equipment sometimes when it's so brand new. So it really helps having that close proximity where people can come, collaborate, innovate all together under one roof. It used to be owned by the Law Ridge. So when you're actually up here, it used to be called Law Ridge Ranch. So you'll see a few of that still around here if you ever come visit. So, and then with regards to actually starting drilling, that would have been in October of 2014. So we actually spudded our first well, and we set casing down to a certain depth, and then we drill fresh formation every time we test. So we started doing that in 2014. Over what we call well 58. And so we did about 48 tests there from that same well. So we started that well in 2014. So from the same top section, we're just drilling directionally out each time. And it wasn't until 2019 that we actually walked the rig to a new part of our location on our south pad is what we call it. And we spudded a new well, and that's our new test well. So we had 48 directional wells. So that's some anti-collision and things like that we just wanted to move and start fresh in a new area and give us, we have a little bit more flexibility with testing with our new casing setup as well. So that was 2014. So 2016, what you might have seen in that video, and you might see a little more pictures of, when we first started, we were just a rig. We had a couple double wides out here. And that was really it. It looked like a pretty normal rig site, to be honest. But since then, we've really built up. We have our office buildings, which house the team that runs this facility, or helps run the facility, I should say. And also the other engineering teams, auxiliary teams, sort of on the new product development front, that kind of have a space out here to innovate. So they are out here with us as well. And deeply part of the team. And then we also have an operations building where we handle all of our spares, inventory, everything to keep our rig running smoothly. And so that was done in 2016, which was also the same year we had our first customer tours. So customer tours have become a bigger thing out here. PowerPoints, we've all felt the death by it many a times, right? So it's pretty cool having the opportunity to come out here and not just take my word for it or NOV's word for it, but you can actually see it in action if we time the tours right and we're actually testing that product at that time. That's not always a guarantee, but that is a cool thing we've been able to provide customers when the timing is right. And then, so that's where we still are with the Prime 1 rig. Right. And then, as I mentioned before, the West Pad, so that was a big deal. We needed a better place for our completions and productions team to test. So this is the West Pad. It's named that because it's on the west side of location. Not very creative, but it's practical. So here we're able to test things such as artificial lift, multi-phase pumps, and a few other things that we should have coming online here soon. So we actually have a well there in the middle of the pad where we're currently testing some artificial lift capabilities. So sorry, that was my light going out. And then finally, the one other big hurdle that we've gotten over is we wanted another place to do some extended reach testing. It's the funny thing about extended reach is they're never all the same. You try something in one well, it's never identical in the next. There's too much that changes in tortuosity of well bores, tools, your mud densities, everything under the sun, right? So we've actually started completed a piece of equipment last year called our surface loop. It's about a 20,000 foot, as you're seeing here in the picture. It's a 20,000 foot loop. Actually, 2 loops around the facility make up the 20K. And so we're able to run in and out of there with a coiled tubing unit. We were actually hoping to do our first test this year, so we're not actually underway with that yet, but the actual apparatus is completed, set up, pressure tested. So hopefully we can do a little test with that this year. We will see. So. Wow. And that kind of takes us to where we are today. So
yeah, I was going to say that's quite a lot of capability to be able to utilize under one facility. So I'm curious, looking at all of those capabilities and growth milestones that you've had over the years. Maybe kind of a 2-part question for you. So one, do you primarily see the majority of the testing there at the R&D Technology Center materializing from more of internal or external entities? And the second part of that is are all tools tested there at the R&D Technology Center before they go out into the field?
Good questions. I guess starting with the first one, who tests here. So right now, we are just doing internal testing. And so we have a backlog of new technologies we're wanting to test here. So we try to get through those, and they need to test in live environments. And so funnily enough, though, that's not every team. I mean, not every single thing we send to the field. It's not practical to test it all here. However, you don't need to. When it's smaller design changes on products that are well known, have been used in the field for a while, you don't necessarily need to go through the same design steps as a completely new, brand new piece of equipment that we're trying to get more data on. So no, not everything gets tested here, but it is up to those groups if they do want to test here or not. So that being said, when I did say internal groups are the predominant and the only really ones that test here right now, it's funny though, because we take those business units, right? As I said, we've got 3 different segments. They're all pulling what information from their customers, taking that customer feedback, turning into sort of these new ideas, and we take what they need and we want to design solutions and meet their needs better. So those business units are able to do that, take what our customers need, and then sort of transform that into our new design. They may do some lab testing and some smaller scale setups. Sometimes, as I said, they do need to do actual live testing on a drilling rig or in a completions environment. And so we will then test out here. So yes, it's internal, but we are sort of taking what the external, what our customers need and testing that for them here. So, but right now, yeah, we call our customers RDTCs, R&D Technologies customers are actually internal customers for us. So other groups within NOV. So I hope that answered the question.
Yeah, no, that's helpful. Okay. So maybe then can we talk about, so yeah, your customers are internal to NOV. So can we maybe talk about then your customer's customer? So an external entity and customer visit. I think you had briefly mentioned that earlier of having potential opportunity for folks to see some of the equipment in action. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we do have customer tours, as I said, and demos, and we have done showcases in the past that we've been able to show off. So we do invite, if we are testing a piece of equipment you're interested in, or someone from the sales team mentions your product line, then we can set up tours out here, which your local NOV contact can assist with. And so one particular test, actually another way that we've our customers have used our facility this year, actually, which was a little different than before. So we have a product called CellarTech. It's actually, we have a display out on our west pad. And so what we're able to do, their customer wanted to actually, it was a new product for them. So CellarTech is basically you're able to just drop in your cellar into a pre-made hole, as you see right here in the picture. And it actually helps with optimizing your pad layout. And it's also a safer, more efficient way to install your cellar. So as you can see there, there's actually a staircase that goes down, and you're able to access the wellhead easier rather than being suspended or having, it's a little more dangerous in a more conventional old school cellar. So their customer was actually able to come out here they were going to take delivery of a piece of Cellertech equipment, and they actually came out here and were able to run through all their JHAs, their tasks, and they did it for a couple days of when it actually gets to the field, so that when you receive it in the field, you're not like, okay, we've got something new. You've already gone through this. Your subject matter experts know what's going on already, and it just leaves less question marks for when you get out there. So that was kind of something cooler we've done this year. So
great. So for those that maybe joined us here in the last several minutes, we're talking with Chris Chapman, who's the director of NOV's R&D Technology Center in Navasota, Texas, and we're talking about some of the R&D capabilities and the technology that is able to be tested out in that facility. So if you have questions for Chris, anything about our R&D capabilities or the facility or some of the capacity there, feel free to put your question in the comment section, whether you are watching us on LinkedIn, Facebook, or YouTube, and we will try to get to your question here in the bottom of our program. So, Chris, I know one of the things that you've had the opportunity to do is, of course, seeing a lot of the technology come through and being able to facilitate the testing of that, but also seeing a lot of the kind of what I'd like to call the human capital side. So seeing what the collaboration looks like when you bring folks from different parts of a large organization together to achieve a unified purpose. What does that look like as you've been there at the facility now for, like you said, a little more than a year and some change? What have you been able to observe?
Yeah, so sort of kind of like what helps with collaboration, what helps with teamwork. So really what it is one thing that I've found is collaboration really is key to a lot of our successes. So as I said, we work closely with a lot of the business units. My team is heavily involved with the execution. How do we actually use these tools in real life? And we treat them like you should in real life. It's going to be a little harsher. And we need to work with them saying, hey, this isn't practical, or yes, this is. And at the same time, these business units are coming to us. They've got these great ideas that we want to test. And they're telling us, we're learning from them about the new technology that they've produced. We then go utilize what they've showed us and then provide some feedback. So you've really got to be open to a two-way street. You have to be humble in the sense that you have to be okay with telling people how a tool is doing or teaching them how it works, but then also taking that feedback, hey, you're not using this correctly. So it's constant collaboration and teamwork, which we really have to always work with. And I mean, really with anything R&D related, you're not going to do it on your own. It takes that talking, that teamwork, and it usually produces better ideas than just staying in one small group where you're not hearing any outside buzz. So we try to encourage that and just be okay with feedback and things like that. And then I would say sort of the second thing there, something that's always been driven through me since I've started here is purposeful innovation. So it's great creating new tools, but we've also got to keep at the back of our heads all the time. What's this end user really need? Is this going to be benefiting them? Are they willing to utilize this, and are they really requesting this? It doesn't help if we create a great idea, but it's impractical to use in the field. And so that's something that's really driven down through me. We report up through the CTO group, so David Reed. And so that's something that's really driven down, is making sure that we've always got a purpose for what we're innovating and always having that in your mind. I guess to give you all an example of one of the more recent projects that's been a big deal that we've been working on here is our robotics initiative. So I think you've had Andy McKenzie, who's over our robotics group, onto the program, I think, before. And so that's a pretty cool one that's completely different and allows us to collaborate with his team and utilize robots. We have one right now on our rig floor that's retrofitted on there that we're able to actually tailpipe with safely and without human interference. And then also one up on a fingerboard that helps with racking while tripping in or out or drilling ahead. And so that's something different. You can't just go onto a customer's rig and deploy that immediately. There's a lot that goes into that from an HSE standpoint, from a coding, from from the movement of the robot, everything that's involved. It's a great process. And so we've been really closely collaborating with that team and taking that back and forth. And it just kind of, it's fun when you get to the end and you see how kind of far you've come, and you can't do it alone. So that's something we always try to push here.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that we can't do alone here is have a show amongst ourselves. That's why we have a great audience, that always provides some really great questions. So with that, I want to go ahead and bring Shelby Demain in to help facilitate some of those questions that we've been getting in. Shelby?
Absolutely. I think we always hope we get good questions, and I think our audience has yet to let us down once. So true to form, we got some really good ones. This first one, I actually it was a comment from Willie on LinkedIn, and he said, he'd love an opportunity to come and visit. And he specifically was wondering if you could talk a little bit about the drill pipe and tubular testing. What if y'all have any of that, or if you could speak to that at all?
Yeah, good question. So right now the drill pipe we're using on our rig is DS50 and Teleserve drill pipe. So we actually have full telemetry on the rig that allows us to, if we need on certain tests, communicate with our smart tools downhole. And so we've been using that really since we started out here. It's great to have on test real-time feedback of our downhole tools or anything in our drill string. So no, it's been great having that for all of our tests, and especially with engineers looking at tools downhole, you want to know immediately how's everything going and wanting a constant monitoring of these. So it's hugely, immensely helpful for that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think you kind of spoke to Jalal on LinkedIn, I think asked a similar question about real-time tubing inspection. So I think, does that kind of cover it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. So then Steven on LinkedIn, I wanted to bring this up. He asked, with the completion of the test loop around RDTC, is there any consideration for testing of wireline trucks? He mentioned pump down operation simulation, but maybe is there anything else kind of around wireline trucks that we have tested before? Or could capabilities for that?
So I'm going to have to leave that a bit generic because we're still determining when we're going to be testing on that. But I sure hope so. It's certainly a possibility of it. There's a lot of possibilities of what we could test on this loop. And so we've got to take it one step at a time. So I'll just leave it there for now. But it's definitely something that's in the back of my head.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I think that totally, when we're talking about an R&D facility, I think that a little bit of that is expected. We got to keep some things secret a little bit, make it a little more exciting. Exactly. So this next question, I actually wanted to ask, what kind of mud system do you run on the drilling rig?
So we use water-based mud. It's a polytrack system. And so we aren't typically drilling as deep wells as you'd see in the Permian or Eagle Ford or U.S. land. So we don't have any issues with really too much sticking or hole cleaning or friction reduction that we're needing to switch to an oil base. Obviously, going to an oil base, there's a lot of positives, but the big one is cost. And if you don't have to, then that's fine. We did recently test out a brine system. And so that was actually okay, but we do predominantly test on water base for most of our drilling tests out here, at least.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And we actually did get a comment about safety. And I just know from my experience visiting RDTC, I've gotten the chance to go on the rig floor a couple of times. And every time I've been, safety has been really excellent. I've a lot of protocol and wearing the right PPE. But could you talk a little bit about, for people who are maybe interested in a customer visit, what the safety is like at the facility?
Yeah, absolutely. So even though we're not drilling through areas where we're expecting hydrocarbons, you never know in oil and gas. So we take full precautions as if we really would. And so your normal things such as hard hats, steel toes, safety glasses, of course, gloves if you're touching any equipment. And so we take that very seriously here. It's a lot different than a lot of our normal or other facilities where we're servicing. Not that any is more dangerous or not, but it's just there's different hazards there could be more tripping hazards and things like that. So a lot of daily inspections, and we've just really got to make sure everyone understands all the rules, 3 points of contact when going up railings, and we never have any issues. A lot of the customers that we do have are very familiar with rig sites, so they know these things, but we always sort of reiterate these before we ever go out to the rig. And there are times where we're doing certain activities that don't permit customer tours due to a safety concern. So that always comes into it when we do schedule these visits.
Absolutely. Yeah. I know. I think going to RDTC was actually my first experience on a rig of any kind. And I felt totally safe the entire time, and definitely everyone did an excellent job. So I can attest to that for sure. So I think I'll end it with this question here, and I want to preface it again. I don't know how much you would even be able to say. So if it's a generic answer again, I'm okay with that. But we got a question about rig floor robots, and I know we've talked before on the show about remote controls. Remote controlled operations. So would you be able to talk a little bit about robotics at all on the test? Maybe what we've done in the past, or anything in that realm. Again, knowing that I'm not sure how much.
I can touch on that certainly. So as I said, I mean the main focus is with the drilling rig itself and drilling operations. We know that that's certainly there's a lot of dangerous activities that go on when we're drilling ahead, making any pipe tripping, racking back. And so it's really being able to retrofit these rigs and try to ensure that we're keeping everyone as safe as possible. And so, as I said, right now, the first one that we did testing with back last year, which I know we have a few videos on right now, was the robot that's actually on the floor that helps with us tailing pipe back or to and from the center of the well. And then the second one that we've installed more recently that you'll see if you ever come here is going to be up on a racking board, sort of similar to where our STV used to be, but instead of an STV hangs down from the racking board, this sits atop and helps actually just rack back your pipe. And so it's been really fun testing these things and seeing sort of a new generation of how we can keep the rig safer. So.
Great, man. Well, I really appreciate the peeling back the curtain a little bit to let us know what more background on the R&D Technology Center, but also where you're headed. So, Chris, I know folks always have follow-up questions, and we certainly want to help them by connecting them with their NOV representative. I know you're on LinkedIn as well, so you can kind of help coordinate those connections as well. But we appreciate you coming on the program today and sharing some insight with us and helping us kick off 2021 here on NOV Live.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate y'all having me.
All right. Thank you. All right. Well, we're going to go on and get the answer to our Rig Geek post of the week that we had for our first episode of 2021. So first of many. Looking forward to them. So I think we are trying to ease folks into the year. I know that's depending on where you are or what, kind of how you started the week. It could have been a little bumpy. Maybe it's kind of slowly taken off. So we tried to make this one a little less arduous, I suppose.
Absolutely. And I know I heard the answer there that he gave it. So I'm wondering if any of our Rig Geeks, maybe their ears perked up a little bit. But the Rig Geek question this week, like you said, it was a bit of an easy one. We asked, what was the first equipment tested at the R&D Technology Center here at NOV? And the answer, like I said, if you're listening closely, Chris did mention it. That answer is the Prime 1, which was the first of the Prime series that was deployed at the R&D Technology Center. So,
cool.
Very good.
Yeah. Well, great. No, that was good. Well, I appreciate it. Thanks, Shelby. And again, special thanks to Chris Chapman, the director there at the R&D facility. And a special thanks to you, our viewers, for spending a little bit of the beginning of your year with us. And we hope that you will continue to join us every Wednesday as we work hard to bring you relevant, insightful, and hopefully beneficial insight and conversations with technical experts from around the world on technology helping shape the energy industry. We look forward to that. And if you hadn't joined us last year, have an opportunity to join us at 1:30 here Central Time for our show with Asad Mahana, Insight Out with Asad Mahana, where we will cover news around the industry from market forces and take a broader view of the energy industry. So if you've ever had an inkling to know more about that, definitely invite you to join us there. Again, that'll be 1:30 Central Time right here on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. So from all of us here at NOV, I'm Michael Gaines. Thanks for watching and for listening, and we'll talk to you again next time.